Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here with a follow-up to the Nicole Becker, R. Kelly whole situation that's going on with his attorneys. I told you guys as more information comes available, you'll get these little quick videos of me, explaining the new information that has come out. And so, as you know, yesterday, Judge Ann Dunley held a conflict of interest hearing, which is also known as a CURCOS hearing, to determine if the attorneys on R. Kelly's case, should remain on the case, or if they have a conflict of interest that could prevent them from properly representing him. This all got started with Steve Greenberg and Mike Leonard wanting to leave the case because they felt that Nicole Becker, was taking over, and that her and Tom Farinella were not capable of leading Mr. Kelly's defense, although he has made it clear that he wants Greenberg and Leonard off of the case, and he wants Nicole to, take over his defense. And you guys, there is a motion that was floating around on Twitter, and I actually did a video about that motion when it came out last year, where someone had written to the courts asking that, Steve Greenberg be removed from the case, that R. Kelly wanted new counsel. And so there are several motions out there, both on the Northern District of Illinois case and the Cook County case, where somebody is continuously writing these motions on behalf of Mr. Kelly, but Greenberg continues to intervene and say that this person does not have legal representation, that he is the lead attorney, and that the judges should ignore these motions. And basically, that's what the judges have been doing. They have been saying that whoever this person is does not have the authority to represent Mr. Kelly. Now, there's also some talk about there's supposed to be additional counsel coming on as part of the defense team. Still not hearing who that person is or who these people are that are supposed to help with the defense. But one thing that Steve Greenberg stated was that, and he stated this on Twitter earlier this week, where he implied that he did not hire Nicole Becker or Thomas Farinella, that the only person that he has brought on is Mike Leonard. So my question is, if Greenberg, who was the lead attorney, didn't bring Becker and Farinella on to the defense team, who brought them on? Where did they come from? And, how did they get to the point where they felt that they were better to lead this defense than Greenberg and Leonard? And then as for Mike Leonard, I kind of feel like he's just caught up in the middle of all this, and he probably just wants his name off of this. He wants to move on. He didn't ask for any of this. And I would not be surprised if, when Judge Donnelly comes back with her ruling, that she dismisses Greenberg but offers Mike Leonard the opportunity to stay on the case, because he seems to be the most experienced person when it comes to leading a federal defense. And if you go to his website, he actually has a page on his website where he doesn't list the case numbers or anything, but you can easily look these cases up on Pacer by entering his name. So if he says that he handled a case in the Northern District of Illinois, when you go into Pacer, you select attorney, and then you select the Northern District of Illinois, and it will bring up every case that he has done in the Northern District of Illinois. And you can do that for each one of the cases that he lists on his website as having been a part of. And then one thing I want to say about Judge Donnelly, I know a lot of people don't like her. They think that she is against R. Kelly, that she needs to be removed from the case. And I did a video on Judge Donnelly when that rumor was going around that her daughter had a conflict of interest. I totally dispelled that myth of the daughter. I'll put a link to that video up there. But, you know, keep in mind that Judge Donnelly is a federal judge. She was appointed by President Barack Obama, and that you can't just go, you know, and have her removed. Federal judges are lifetime appointments unless they do something totally egregious that, you know, Congress would remove them from the bench. But that very rarely happens. Most judges who step down, they basically know they've done something really, really wrong, and then they just remove themselves from the bench. But we know we can stop arguing about the Judge Donnelly needing to be removed from the bench or from this case, because I can tell you that it's not going to happen. So let's go into what else has come out about this case since yesterday and about this hearing. I did read an article, I believe it was the Daily Beast, who we know isn't the most reputable publication, but they did indicate that the attorney, and I told somebody that this lady's name was Gloria Schmitz, but it's actually Gloria Rodriguez. She is the actual attorney that was brought on to represent Azriel Clary and Joycelyn Savage at the time that the indictments started coming down from New York and the Northern District of Illinois. She was hired to represent the girls just in case they were implicated, if they were, you know, said to be witnesses to a crime or whatever. And so in the Daily Beast article, they said that she, the Gloria Rodriguez woman, had gone to Greenberg and told Greenberg that Nicole was giving legal advice to the girls, and that, you know, he really needed to keep Nicole away from Joycelyn and Azriel. And so in a CNN article that came out today, it says that an attorney who represented the women at one time said in a declaration filed by Greenberg and Leonard that was read in court on Thursday, which was yesterday, that Becker gave, quote unquote, legal advice to the women, one of whom began cooperating with prosecutors in early 2020 after severing ties with Kelly. And we all know that that is Azriel, or Jane Doe number 5. But when asked about this in the court proceeding, Becker, or Nicole Becker, denied that she gave the women legal advice. She said that that was not true. And so prosecutors in the hearing raised another allegation of a potential conflict by Kelly's legal team, that an attorney helped facilitate payments to one of the women who Kelly lived with before his arrest and who may testify in his defense trial. And we all know that that is the calls that included Richard Arline. And actually there were several calls, so we don't know particularly which call is the one that's being referenced here, but we do know that Richard Arline was trying to offer Azriel money not to testify against R. Kelly. And so federal prosecutor Maria Cruz Melendez of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York voiced concerns over the alleged payments, saying a jury may be misled into thinking that the payments incentivized the women to testify for the defense. Becker also denied ever facilitating payments to the women on Kelly's behalf. So Judge Donnelly said she would not discuss another alleged conflict involving Becker that was raised by prosecutors in a sealed letter to the court. Sources confirmed to CNN the matter deals with an allegation that Becker was connected to an effort to pay to silence a victim who is cooperating with the government. And then once, everybody's reaching out to Nicole, trying to get a comment and asking her about these claims. But of course, she is wise not to speak on these allegations and to basically wait for Judge Donnelly to give her ruling. So the allegations arise from a criminal complaint filed in August involving an associate of Kelly's named Richard Arline, and we know that he is not an associate of Mr. Kelly. They can't determine between all these different articles if he's an associate, if he was a childhood friend, or if he was a cousin. So we're getting all these connections, but none of them have actually been confirmed by Mr. Kelly or by any of his defense team. So Richard Arline was accused of attempting to bribe Kelly's former girlfriend after she began cooperating with prosecutors in early 2020. And then we know that he pled guilty in February and he has not been sentenced yet. So a source with direct knowledge of the matter told CNN that the allegation that Becker was in any way involved in Arline's attempted bribe payment is quote unquote completely untrue. So according to a complaint filed in August against Arline, investigators gained the cooperation of a victim of Kelly, who the singer allegedly had a sexual relationship with when she was 17. The woman is simply referred to as Jane Doe in the complaint. So the complaint states that the Jane Doe, at the direction of law enforcement, took part in calls in 2020 with Arline and others that law enforcement listened to. In a May 2020 three-way call, Arline allegedly discussed paying a victim $500,000 in exchange for not continuing to cooperate with the government. Multiple people are mentioned anonymously in the complaint, including one who is described as an attorney who has represented Kelly but didn't represent him in Brooklyn federal case at the time of the filing in August, whom multiple sources confirmed to be Nicole Becker. And you guys remember Nicole just got access to the New York file and became a part of the New York case on April 19th. So when all these calls were going on last year, she was not a part of the Eastern District of New York case. So according to the complaint, investigators believe that Arline was in contact with the attorney and that when he told Azriel that people claimed, quote, you got some videos or some iPads and that your story, they just want that to disappear, that he was referring to one of the associates of Kelly, which may have included Becker. So the complaint alleges that Arline meant that one or all of the associates, quote, told him that Jane Doe or Azriel had access to electronic evidence that could be used against Kelly and that they wanted Jane Doe, Azriel, to not tell her version of events regarding her relationship with him. And so the CNN, who's doing this article, they reached out to Richard Arline's attorney, and the attorney has not responded. And we all know that Richard Arline will be leaving for Jamaica, I believe, on the 21st, and he'll be there, for the whole week. So I'm sure his attorney is telling him, don't get involved with this mess, don't say nothing. If there's going to be any comment, it's going to come from him. So the complaint also alleges that Arline told Azriel that when the same attorney was asked about making a payment, the attorney told him, quote, we ain't doing that, and knocked the idea down right away. So evidently when they spoke to Nicole, she told them, no, we're not making a payment. So it looks like they may have reached out to Nicole after they started this communication. Not sure if maybe Jocelyn was a part of this whole situation, because remember there were several people that was involved in that were listed in that indictment, as individual 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It may have been 5 or 6. And so we know that one of them was Dr. Rice. We now know that one was Nicole. We know one was Richard Arline. I believe Cash Jones was one of the people. And we know that another person was one of R. Kelly's close friends. And most people were speculating that that close friend may have been Keith, which I don't, because Keith was the one that was controlling the money at the time. And so it looks like maybe everybody wasn't on board with what was going on, that different people played different roles. And based on this information that's coming out now, that when they reached out to Nicole, she told them, no, we're not offering her money. We're not giving her money. Like, what are you doing? You know, she basically knocked down the idea as it was a bad idea, which she should have done. But I think where Nicole gets into trouble here is that she knew that these communications were taking place, and she had some form of an ethical duty to report what was going on. And so if she had, you know, gone to the authorities and say, hey, this person is trying to bribe Azriel, then that definitely would have cleared Mr. Kelly of the whole situation. You know, then he wouldn't be getting tied to what is going on. And so that may have been her biggest misstep, is that she spoke to them, said it wasn't a good idea, and then didn't report it to the proper authorities or to the judge or, you know, somebody on the case to say, hey, this is going on. So she pretty much just fell into the trap of what was taking place. So it goes on to say that the complaint further states that it remains unclear whether Mr. Kelly and the associates, including the attorney, implicitly or explicitly authorized Arline to negotiate a bribe payment on behalf of Mr. Kelly, and that as of the filing in August, Azriel did not receive any money from Arline. And so this is pretty much good news. You can look at it that way, because it appears that the government still hasn't been able to tie this all together. And so whatever Richard Arline told them, you know, part of his plea agreement, which we don't know, what his statements to them is under a sealed indictment or sealed paperwork. So we don't know exactly what he gave the government in exchange for the sentence that he is going to receive. And then once again, I told you guys, if he wasn't sentenced on June 9th, it's because they're not going to sentence him until after the trial takes place in the Eastern District of New York, and they see how beneficial the information is to the case, you know, before they give him whatever it is that they're going to give him. And so we don't know. We just know what he said on the record during his plea hearing, where he pled guilty and said that, you know, he tried to bribe Azriel, you know, in the scheme. But we don't know what he said behind the scenes and what is sealed. So the hearing Thursday was a rare hearing meant to address any potential conflicts attorneys involved in the case may have. And Donnelly said at the hearing that she would like for Kelly to be brought to New York to participate in another conflict-related hearing in person. And this was the first in-person hearing in Kelly's Brooklyn case since the pandemic forced court operations to shift to being conducted remotely. He appeared via video conference from the Chicago MCC. And, you know, as I stated in my last video, the Marshals, the U.S. Marshals, are now working on getting him to New York within the next week or two. So you can expect that transfer to probably take place within the next 10 days. And then Donnelly is going to schedule another hearing where he will appear in person so that she can see for herself. Like, you know, it's better to talk to a person in person than it is via video, because you get a better feel of their body language, of their tone, of what they're saying. And then I don't know if she's going to have all the attorneys in there. You know, he was assigned an independent counsel who is an attorney that is going to advise him, explain to him everything that's taking place, and make sure that he understands the potential threat to keeping Nicole on the case and how this could, go against him or be in his favor. They're basically a mediator. The person is not going to be defending his case. She is just there. And I did have her name, but I don't know where I saved that information. But it is a white female attorney out of Brooklyn, New York, who is going to be that independent counsel that is going to advise him through this next hearing that is going to take place. So that's it for me. Go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.